Welcome to our Insurance Innovation Push series. We have a lovely to meet all of you again and the listeners on the line, and then also the ones listening this afterwards. And today we are talking of a leap of insurance. Let's see what we end up having the discussion about with Saul. Just briefly on Yellowmay, we're an insurance innovation consultancy agency and look into the future of insurance and innovation within the space. And that's why we have the series and to listen in from different parts of the world as well, that what is happening in, so that we know more and what can be done. But now I will introduce, you can introduce yourself, Saul. So welcome. Thank you for joining into our series today. And please go ahead and say a few words of yourself and also the companies you represent.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jussi. And it's exciting for me to be part of this series. As you said, my name is Saul Seremba, and I am the CEO and principal of the Insurance Training College of Uganda. Of course, when I'm here to talk about insurance, this is my passion, and it gives me great honor and excitement to be talking to the different people that are watching from the different parts of the world, but also those that will watch after the show is done. Thank you so much. And I also want to appreciate you, Jussi and Christine, for the great work that you're doing. I hope we shall be able to share a few things here as far as innovation is concerned, more so in our sector. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. So we always have a warm-up question in our series, which actually is the same for each of the episode, and it's interesting to listen into that. What are the different answers and replies on this? But in generally, from your perspective, why insurances are different in individual countries, or are they? So what is your mindset there? What do you think about it?
Thank you, Jussi. When you talk about insurance is generic across countries. And you'll agree with me that when the insurance that we have in Uganda is not any different from the insurance in UK, France. When you go to Mauritius, when you go to South Africa, insurance seems to be similar. And indeed, when you look at the principles that guide our trade in insurance, they are the same. Therefore, I would say insurance and its principles may be universal. However, you will find that there are significant differences across the different countries. And of course, the differences in the insurances in the different countries are due to differences in the local laws. The laws are different. When you look at the laws in Uganda and those in Rwanda, much as they are part of East Africa, they are different. When you compare Uganda and Sweden, the laws are different. So because of the difference in laws, definitely even the insurances given will be a little different. When you compare the demographics of the countries, the demography, the cultural issues, they are different. You realize that in the African setting, in the African setup, it's a little different from the European. When you look at some of the developing countries and how they look at issues, it's a little different from the others. So this also affects the insurance that can be sold in such countries. When you look at the economic conditions, they are different. Some economies are developed and others are still underdeveloped. So that also points to the differences. I'll give you an example. You realize that in the developed economies, life insurance is working very well because they appreciate life insurance, they can afford life insurance, and so it is actually higher. The premiums collected in life insurance are actually higher than the general insurance. So you can see that that divide affects the insurances. When you look at the insurance market dynamics, how many insurance companies are operating in a particular space? What is the competition like? All these in a way affect the insurances.
So if just to not to interrupt you in that sense, but if you look at it, and this is if you look at insurance as a product, what insurance in that format, yes, how it operates requires that there's people involved, how it's being distributed, how it's being utilized. But in a format, insurance is a lot of data. It's just it's in a way it's predictions of what happens based upon previous data more, or then even in potentially looking into the future and predicting what will happen in the future. I think that, from my perspective at least, I agree that is the same. But coming down to the regulation part or the regulatory framework, what would you actually consider if considering that in most cases it's the same it's the same phone sold in Uganda than it's being sold in France or in US, or more or less it's the technology is the same. How would you see, will insurance be more universal as well in the future? What is your feeling on it?
Okay. You see, when you look at the future of insurance, in terms of the aspects that you've highlighted, and indeed those are the aspects that influence the innovation in the different areas. But what I wanted to say before I get to that, when you look at all the factors that I've mentioned that affect insurance and their differences, we must accept that these may not be universal in all countries at the same time. And because of that, definitely what we require in some economies will differ from other economies. You will find that in our economies, the developing economies, microinsurance is becoming more pronounced. Why? Because we are seeing a bigger population of people with low incomes. Now, that may not be the issue with the developed economies, but overall, when you look at insurance, I must say what has set countries apart is the level of innovation. The countries that have been able to move forward at a faster pace are those that have embraced innovation, are those that have been able to customize, personalize insurance, are those that have been able to appreciate the needs of the client, are those that have been able to use the data at their disposal in order for them to serve their clients. Now, there are those economies, and in some of the developing economies, you realize that what we do is to give the generic, products, and meaning that we are not really serving the client to their needs. But I'll talk about that later, that we are seeing a trend that is changing. So I think one key aspect is innovation, and innovation sets the different countries apart.
But it's interesting. I think from the aspect, and yes, I agree that there are you cannot grow all different food ingredients in different countries. They don't grow. But then on some terms, some things are very universal, kind of in all format. And I think if you look at it from the point of perspective, what would you see there, kind of like if an insurance product from the looking into the future, how do you what would be the role? You did touch upon a bit on it, but what would be the role of the policyholder for an insurance product in the future? Because currently, if you look at insurance product is kind of, it's being sold you don't buy it. You don't go to buy it the same way as you gonna go and buy something else. For example, you buy the house, but insurance, yes, they might be requiring an insurance to when you buy the house. So in order that you can sustain it. But what do you see? What would be the role of a policyholder for the insurance? What do you see that development? Where does that go?
Sure. Thanks, Jussi. And one thing that we must appreciate is that insurance, one, has to evolve. It has to evolve, and the evolution is partly driven by technology, right? There are regulatory issues that are changing. You can see that there is a lot of regulation that is coming up in the different markets, but also the customer behavior. These are the issues that must now drive the evolution of our products. One key thing is, much as insurance is providing protection to individuals, the evolution must come into play. We must use the data that we have. One thing that is coming, I mean, there is a lot of data in our disposal. How a company, how an insurer uses this data to their benefit will be very, very critical. Data analytics, how do you use the data to design a product that meets the customer's needs? How do you use the data to predict the behavior of the client? How do you use the data to determine the risk of the client? All these are very key issues as we are looking at the products and how they must evolve. One trend that we are already seeing, Jussi, is the increased use of data and analytics to personalize products and pricing. In some markets, they're even charging a premium on motor insurance by usage. You know, that is very, very important.
Yeah.
In some economies, you're seeing the premium is based on the risk factor of the client. How risk are you? We may be driving the same car, same make, we are in the same age group, but the risk profile is different. So that is becoming, but those companies are making this possible because they are using the data that is within their,
do you see there what we end up, and that's one of our focus points, why we keep kind of the side of the policyholder in towards the industry. Because do you feel, is it so that because the policyholder is the one who pays for the insurance and then on the other hand needs the insurance product? And I know that there are data solutions that are optimizing the insurance product. Let's say the insurance company's cost, for example. But if you look at it from the buyer's perspective, they would, if they still need the insurance, and yes, their risk level is higher, how you would approach this? Because they might be that you still need an insurance, you are a risky driver, or that you live in a risky area. How you would look at this? Do we say in the future, how do we communicate it so that we say to you that, okay, yes, we can sell you an insurance product, but it's a lot more expensive than your neighbors who is a much more careful driver? Or how do you see how we would communicate that in from the industry point of perspective, in a nice way? What comes to your mind?
Okay. When you look at I think there is an old adage that insurance is should be bought, not sold. I mean, but you see what we are doing, and I want to focus more on the developing economies. You realize that what is happening, some of the products that are being sold are simply imported, right? The company has this particular product, and this product is simply because the mother company is also selling a similar product. Or when a company did a benchmark in another country, there was this product. Now, that leads to selling of the product. Whether the client needs it or not, it will be sold to them. The idea should be changing. We should be looking at the client. We should be looking at what is his affordability? What is the risk that this client is facing? What exactly what particular mechanisms can we use to reach out to this client? How can we access this client? And as I told you earlier, these are the data analytics that we need to do in order for us to entice the client for them to buy. Because now they will visualize insurance as part of their life, as part of the things that they need, you know, their daily needs. But if we are to sell, then we are simply selling what we have. Now, that in a way drives the clients away. But you see, before I move away from that point, I think all is not lost. When you look at the when you look at how far we've gone with the innovation, you realize that many companies now understand their clients. When you look at the nature of products that they are outing, you realize that they have put the client first. They may be copying from others, they may be Xeroxing, but in a way, they will change a few things here and there to tune the product to the interests of the clients. There is still a long way, but I believe we are on the right course. However, one thing that we need to appreciate is there is need for constant evolution of our products. We cannot afford to be selling the same product over and over. We can't be selling the fire policy as it used to be. The dynamics have changed. The working environment has changed. So it can no longer be the same product because even the customer behavior is changing. Our clients now know a lot about insurance. So they also demand a lot because the expectations are high. So I think innovation should be at its peak.
I agree. I agree. What would you say that in the sense, what would be most important for the policyholder? What would be kind of what they would really look for? I know that kind of value, but what would be the, if you would, you don't have to say one, but what would be the values? What value the policyholder is looking for the product? What would you see there? What kind of a value they are seeking to kind of to get in return when they pay for the policy?
Okay, I would look at that from different perspectives. You see, one, is it covering me? Do I have the peace of mind? Is it taking care of my worries? That is number one. And as I'm saying this keeps changing. What was worrying me yesterday may not be the same thing today or even tomorrow. These keep changing. So that means as we are looking at this particular risk as insurers, we must also evolve with the client. As I'm covering this person comprehensively, the car is covered comprehensively. Today, the worry is the car. Tomorrow, it is my family, because now I have a family. Now, with the family, and I'm driving the car, you must tweak this comprehensive policy also to cater for my life in case I'm not there, so that my family is covered. You get my point? The other day, you may also look at my work. Will I be able to do my work if this is not existing? So what worries our clients keeps changing, and therefore we must evolve with that. Two, how do they access our products? That is very critical. Are we still sitting in our offices to sell our insurance to the people in the outskirts of the city? Three, how do they benefit? How easy is it for them to benefit when something has happened, a loss has happened? I think now this is where it hits us most as insurers, because we sell, they buy, and at the time when we are supposed to be so nice to the clients, we are not very nice. Now, when we are not very nice, it pushes them away. So we must, as we are thinking about innovation, as we are thinking about making our clients comfortable, we should be able to make that process as seamless as possible. If I've had an accident in my car, I should be able to be given options so that I can enjoy the product that I bought from the insurers. And the process should not be as long as some processes can be. So I'm looking at our innovation and the evolution to be in that line. How are you using the digital transformation? You know, how personalized is the product? Is it taking care of the climate? You know, you see, one interesting thing is the climate. It is becoming a hot thing now. As we are designing these products, how are they taking care of the climate?
The sustainability is a big topic, definitely.
Exactly.
And if you look at it, it's also, I'll just give you an idea on it, that I think for us as well, that kind of, and the climate actually pushes it, is actually prevention.
Yes.
That in a way, the less climate is changing,
Exactly.
the more steady is actually the life can be. And I think that is a topic that definitely insurance industry, we already spoke before we started the discussion, is that insurance has an impact to almost every individual on the globe on one way or another. And we definitely need to be able to utilize that, so that we are able to give tools to people in from that point of perspective. And coming from that aspect, what would you consider? What would be tools or means? What could we give to the policyholder? What comes to your mind if we would give them something in return of the policy, that they pay for the policy, but then that they would, by acting in a certain way, or how we would be able to help them in order that they can then either reduce their premiums or that they don't end up into having claims? How do you see what would be there? What comes to your mind, kind of from the prevention point of view?
Mm-hmm. I think one of those things that we need to look at, I think it speaks to what I alluded to in my opening remarks. How is the risk profile of the client? You know, and this informs the insurer in the decisions that they are taking. If a client has not, for example, claimed, it speaks to their risk profile. It means they are careful, you know. So there should be something, and that goes to the personalization of the product. I should have a product that speaks to me as an individual and not to the group. Then as an insurer, you're speaking to my needs as a client. So issues to do with what premiums, issues to do with how we handle the claims, they become personal. They become unique and personalized to me as an individual. But also, I think, you see, that goes to the level of innovation. And allow me speak to this in about 2 or 3 minutes. When you look at innovation, I think we've not embraced one of the insurance has been attacked as one of the sectors that has been so slow when it comes to innovation. The efforts are there, but we have not yet adapted to the processes as fast as other, sectors. When you look at the banking sector, we have not been as fast as them. You realize that even where people think they are innovating, it is simply a change of the name of a product of another insurer. You're giving the same product, you're using the same channel, and then you just change something small, and then you think that is a great innovation. We need to get into the business of innovation. We need to think about innovation, because if we are to move the industry from one level to another, then we must do things differently. Innovation should help us improve processes. What are we doing to improve processes? And when I talk of processes, underwriting, accessibility to our products, claims processes, how are we doing this? You know, how are we developing new products? I'm not talking about copying, but even where we copy, we should be able to improve such that there is value that the client sees. How are we enhancing customer experience? How are we implementing new technologies? Now everyone is on internet. How do we utilize that to make sure that we reach out to our customers? I think these are very critical issues for us as insurers if we are to achieve our intended objectives. We must understand that customer expectations are very high, very, very high. Competition is very high. Customers are becoming aware and they are very entitled. So in order for us to engage them, to gain their trust, we should be able to personalize our services so that they feel insurance in their dealings. Yes.
Well, I think for me, well, and this is a question that we have always there in before closing remarks. How innovative, and now it's up to you. So how innovative on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being non-innovative, 10 being very innovative, you consider insurers in generally being? Where are the insurance companies? From 1 to 10.
You see, that is a tough one. And it is because, you know, the different economies have different levels. You realize that there are economies that have really taken on innovation seriously. But there are those that have been laggards. Maybe I would say, I would give it on average, I would give it a 6. Why a 6? Because I think in terms of adoption, I'm now seeing companies that are selling products online. I'm seeing so many new products that are not generic as they used to be earlier. I'm seeing the use of technology increasing. I'm seeing lots of products in Uganda, for example, Kenya here, Rwanda being sold online. I think that is a good one. It shows a lot of progress that is taking place. I'm seeing other efforts by regulators. In Uganda, we have had the Innovation Awards. And these awards that are intended to spur innovation in the economy. So you will see many companies trying to come up with new things, new ways of doing things so that they can be recognized. And I think that is very, very critical. I'm seeing collaborations coming up. I think this is an area that many companies have underlooked. Collaboration, collaborate with others to reach out to a bigger group. If there is a telecom company and I'm selling insurance, we can collaborate. If there is a supermarket and I'm in insurance, we can collaborate. If it is a food market and we are insurance, we can collaborate. So there are lots of collaborations that we can take on so that we can extend our services to the final person. So I think that is very important. But of course, coming from the training background, you see, one of those other things that I think is very, very important is research. We need to engage a lot in research so that we can identify those areas that can help us do innovation. And when we talk of research, we should engage in research that informs policy, not just academic research, but research that informs policy. I think that way we shall be able to spur innovation. Before I close, you see, I have seen companies investing heavily in technology because they think when you invest in technology, it will get you there. But then the investment in the human resources is low. These are the people that are going to be using the technology. So we do not see innovation taking place because the people who are supposed to use the heavily invested in technology are not aware of the innovations that should be taking place.
So I think and it's a very nice wrap up. Definitely, it's a human business, even though we consider that, yes, parts of it can be done completely online and some of the products can be designed, but it's a human to human business environment that you need to be able to operate. And I think you already highlighted my question of that what innovation means for insurers is basically that kind of, it means that yes, we combine new technology, but we don't fully utilize it. Just going before we really, were there any questions coming up from the audience? That was in that sense, and
I have
And
not
in
seen
that
anything,
sense,
but maybe there are some.
I have not seen any question in here.
No.
Christine, do you have any question?
No, I don't have any questions as well. So if there are any questions, so please, now's your time from the audience. Maybe
Hi,
we can
Saul.
unmute also.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Flavia. Good afternoon. Flavia, I can hear you.
I'm a procurement practitioner, but
Yes.
very interested in the insurance industry. You talked about the people aspect. You find that some of the innovations that are coming up is the digitalization of the processes. So how are we going to reconcile that between the people and the digitalization? Because at this point, we are shifting from having those manual processes into a digitalized form. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Any other? Can I take about 3 questions and then I answer them at once?
yeah, if 3, but then I think you can take it. Just take the question on that hand. I have a comment there as well, but you can go. You can start.
Okay. Thank you, Jussi. And Flavia, thank you for the interest in insurance. I can see there is a lot of interest. Thank you. As I said, when we are looking at investing in the huge technology, we should also build the human capital competence. Because insurance, there are aspects that we are going to digitize, but there are several aspects that we cannot digitize. When we are talking about getting to people, selling insurance to people, there are those aspects where we shall have the human aspect. But also, it is important that the people that we are dealing with appreciate the digitization agenda of the companies that we lead. If they do not, then it becomes difficult for them to implement what we have in our strategic plans. But when I was doing a research on innovation, there is something very interesting that I found out. I realized that sometimes organizations talk about innovation, but this is at the top. People who are supposed to implement these innovations are not even aware of what is going on. Innovation should be part of the culture of the organizations that we lead. Innovation should be part of the performance assessments in organizations. We should actually allow people to innovate. Some will make mistakes. We should reward people for taking risks. Once we do that, then we have a wholesome approach to innovation.
I think from my aspect, definitely it is that in an early stage as possible to onboard the people who are really will utilize the technology, so that there's a really alignment between that the design and the usage, so that you can really kind of discover all the benefits of the products there. So that you need to align from having the human capital there in place, and then you can embrace the technology. That's what definitely I would look into, right, and have it there.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's any, you please feel to question, but also to send afterward questions. Then that's more than welcome. Through we can continue the discussion as well on LinkedIn. Thank you, Saul.
Thank you, Jussi.
It was very nice to hear your views on innovation and especially, and I think it's kind of, if you consider the whole industry, the terms, the mindset and everything is really the same in all around the world, but we need to, as said, embrace the individual countries and their cultures and perspectives in order that we can find the best outcome there.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much.
Thank you,
Jussi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely
day
to all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.